Yo, what is up everybody? Jumpin here, and today I'm going to be showing you the Asari Valkyrie Sentinel, which is amazing. Very, very amazing. And I say that because this was by far one of the #1 characters in the game I was the most excited about when I seen her power list. She gets the best of the best. I'm going to be using the talent today. Now, if you don't have armor piercing, I'm going to be using armor piercing. If you do not have armor piercing, you can use the piercing mod. That's actually okay, because you're not going to be shooting that much with her, but you do want to shoot. But if you do have the armor piercing, you just use the extended. Alright, now for the build, I'm going to be using durability on tech armor. This is just great because it gives you a 40% damage reduction. Definitely solid just to have it on and give you a 40% damage protection. Why not? Alright, now moving on, it's going to be pretty much power damage. This actually is really good just because it's going to increase your power damage overall. Not your explosions, but definitely your power damage. And then the final one's going to be power recharge. Now, you definitely want this just because her recharge speed is questionable as of right now. And with that, tech armor only reduces it by 20% instead of the 50%. Now for warp, I'm going to have detonate, expose, and then the final one, now that's going to be up to you, honestly. I got Pierce, and I like Pierce, and I always will preach that Pierce is really, really good. But recharge speed might be necessary depending on your gun and your overall power recharge. So it's really up to you depending on the situation. But if you have the 200%, I would say Pierce is definitely the better way to go. But if you do not have 200%, then yeah, maybe recharge speed because, you know, it is questionable. Now for Annihilation Field, I got Impact Radius. This actually affects your radius of the ability to set up the explosions and the radius of the blast. So keep that in mind. Alright, then I got Damage Taken. Now, movement speed is decent, but I personally like Damage Taken. And it actually does stack. So you're going to have Expose, which is 15%, and then the Annihilation Field Damage Taken. So that's 30% for your explosions. Really godly good. And then finally, Drain. This is just great because she gets the damage protection from the tech armor, and she has an ability to drain shields. So that overall is awesome. Alright, now for Asari Valkyrie, I got power and damage and capacity and power damage, and for fitness, just 3 points in the shields, just for that extra health, extra shields. Alright, now for the equipment, I'm going to be using Armor Piercing 4, Pistol Rear Lamp 3, Commando Package 5, and Cyclonic 4. I know it says Cyclonic 3, but it was a Cyclonic 4. Alright, let's get into the gameplay. Alrighty, so here's going to be the gameplay. It's going to be on the new map, the new hazard, Fire-Based Glacier, which is pretty awesome looking, and has a very reasonable hazard in general. I mean, the hazard on this map is kind of crazy. At first I thought it was not a big deal, but then I realized this thing is so annoying. It is the giant ball of death. And it really is the giant ball of death. And see, it's not that big of a deal because if you just run through it one time, well, what always happens is that, you know, hey, you lose most of your shields, maybe half of your shields, or all your shields, depending on like what kind of damage protection or character you're running. It doesn't really matter. But from what I've noticed now, I thought that's all it would do is shield damage. I didn't realize, yeah, no, it does health damage. It can kill you. It is definitely a worthy hazard, and probably one of the better hazards on in the game now. Just because besides Reactor, it's the only one that actually is going to harm you like big time. I mean, the rain does drain your shields. Yes, it can be annoying, and it is annoying, but you can probably work around that. On this map, you really cannot work around that giant ball. Of course, you can avoid it and stay away from it, but that thing has a mind of its own, or at least it feels that way. My teammates in this gameplay was people from the clan. They were freaking out because that ball really does, it seems like it's out to get you. Depending on your objective, it can cause some havoc. Obviously, in an upload, that thing could come and get you. In a device, that can come and get you. In a lot of different situations, it really does annihilate you. So yeah, it's definitely a worthy hazard. I like it though. It definitely brings a new element to this map, which this map definitely needed, because by far, in my opinion, Glacier is probably the easiest map in this game for running around and just, well, speed running and doing everything. So this map is definitely interesting, and I do like it. but it is a little ridiculous at times. And you'll see it throughout the gameplay, and I'll call it out. And my teammates, they were freaking out. It was just hilarious. It was every time we would see the ball, like right here, ball of death's coming. It's like, oh shit! You know, and you just call it out like, oh, ball of death! Ah! Like that's exactly what was happening, and it was really, really funny. But yeah, it does kill you, and man, like I said, it's something else. All right. Now let me go ahead and talk about the Valkyrie, the new Asari Valkyrie Sentinel. This thing is pretty godly. Alright, now the Fury, as you may know, is amazing. It's one of the best adepts in the game. Maybe potentially the best one, depending on who you ask or how you feel about it. I personally think it probably is the best adept in the game besides the human, the old-fashioned human with Singularity and Shockwave. I think that's really good too. But the Fury is definitely up there. It's one of the top tiers for just the amount of damage it can cause. Now, the thing that makes the Fury great, well, it's the Annihilation Field. And now we have an Asari with Annihilation Field. Now, the difference is that, well, the Fury gets Throw. Now, Throw just makes more sense for Annihilation Field only because of the fact that it can set up. It can set up like every couple seconds. I don't know. Pretty much... the best way to put it is that it really does set up every so often. Right here I'm going to do a really cool trick, and I've talked about it before, but this is going to cause a terrible issue. That is the Asari pizza delivery method. I don't know what to call it. It's just crazy, but yeah, right here the ball of death was out to get us and murdered us. It cost me a ops pack at first, and then it ended up killing me. And it's also going to kill some of my teammates in the process. Look at this thing. It's out to get me. And it's out to get my team. It's so ridiculous. Now, I'm not saying... Obviously, I think it does. It might have a predetermined path. But it seems like, for some reason, the ejective waves all... You know, it's on. That was a really crazy dodge right there. But anyway, yeah. It is something else. But yeah, alright. So this is the super awesome Asari way of carrying the ejective. It's like flag running from Halo. I've talked about this a lot. I don't think you've never seen a gameplay of me doing it. Mainly because I rarely do play Asaris. But when I do, I try to do the pizza boxes for my team. Just like if I'm a Krogan, I'll try to do the pizza boxes for my team, knowing that it's the best thing to do. So if you play an Asari, keep that in mind. You can do that. And it's very easy. I don't even need to talk about it, how to do it. You can see how I did it. It's very easy in general, but it takes a little bit of practice to get used to. Alright, so let's get into the Valkyrie though. Kind of got sidetracked by the giant ball of death and the super awesome Asari pizza delivery method. But anyway, alright, so the Valkyrie. Like I was saying, the Fury has Throw. And Throw makes more sense for killing, well, enemies quickly, because that's exactly what the Fury does. It kills enemies so quick, because Annihilation Field sets up, and then you hit them with Throw, you detonate it, and everything pretty much dies. With her, well, because of the fact she's a Sentinel and she does get the tech armor, that's going to cause a little bit of power recharge issues, and the fact that Warp does take 2.4 seconds without the recharge speed. So that is a couple things you got to keep in mind. So the Fury is, in my opinion, probably better for killing enemies like the infantry enemies, the smaller enemies. But she is by far probably one of the best boss killers now in the game. Because if you do the explosions, as you know, the explosions just do a lot of damage to armor. So in general, they are really good against bosses. And she debuffs 30%. Oh my god, it's insane. But overall, she's just good. She's so good. I mean, is the Fury better? I don't know how to call it yet. I can't call it yet. I only played one. This is my only game at this point I've played with her. And I can honestly say that I just don't know. I won't call it yet, but I will say that it's pretty close. And I absolutely love this chick. It's a lot of fun. All around, like I said, she gets the best of the best. She almost does when you look at it. Because Annihilation Field is such a good setup power. Warp has always been a great detonating power, and on top of that, it is a very good setup power as well. So if you're doing what we're doing in this gameplay, which is playing with an undead team, you're talking about some serious explosions you're going to be able to get, because if the Annihilation Field doesn't set them up, well, the Warp will. If the Warp doesn't, I mean, you could just, it's crazy. Crazy. So using her with a Shockwaver or a Human Vanguard is extremely effective. Using her with a, and that was a really weird glitch right there too. I've seen that happen quite a bit, where someone will get grabbed and they'll die and then they instantly get up. I don't know how to explain it. It's something to do with Banshees. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, like I said, she's amazing. She really is amazing just because of her boss killing aspects, her team. I mean, I would rather use her on an adept team than a actual Fury, personally. Just because the Fury's great, but she's just better. Because when you're talking about setting up, now we're talking about setting up, she's godly because the Warp comes in handy for setting up, as everybody knows. Annihilation Field is godly at setting up, and if you're rolling with a team, it's amazing just for that combination there. Alright, so this is going to be wave 6. We're going to get devices, which this is definitely a super trolley wave. I mean, it really is. Mainly just due to the fact that, yeah, this ball of death is going to screw us. It really does. But we are going to be able to get it done. I'll ruin it for you now, obviously. We're going to get it done. But it's kind of a nightmare. It really is. Especially on the second one right now, because these enemies are all spawning in the same location. I'm trying to do my best to constantly keep setting them up for my teammates with the shockwave. They can stay back a little bit and keep detonating for me and killing these enemies. But right here, this is ridiculous. Watch this. So that ball of death killed 2 of my teammates. I got one of them up. Now I'm getting the second one up. Now it just killed my third teammate. And I'm getting that up, and then guess what? The ball of death ends up killing me. Now you might say the Ravager there killed me. No, it did not. For one, there was no feed that said the Ravager killed me. And for two, because of the health gating, it's very apparent to me that, you know, the Ravager played a big role there in killing me, but that fucking ball of death was the thing that actually killed me. And we were dying laughing in general. I mean, just look at this. This is just, it's chaotic. Like, we want to get the device. It's just outrageous. It's so much shit around us right now. And it just keeps swarming that room. We had to make the conscious decision, which I love. I love the fact that you have to do this now if you're going to try to play this map. Of, yeah, let's get the fuck out of there. Let's just, you know, let it be for a moment. Because we knew that the ball would eventually leave that area and move on, which was pretty much the goal. Get the ball to go away so that we can actually, like, focus on, you know, once it's gone, focus on the enemies and get the device done. So there was a lot more strategy there, a lot more thinking than just normal. Instead of just having to deal with, like, a massive amount of enemies coming at you, which is already a pain, we had to deal with the ball. So, like I said, overall, this map is definitely really cool just for that ball aspect. I've said ball, like, about 40 times. If you wanna die, I know a lot of you guys always make drinking games up for my commentaries because I tend to say the same thing over and over again. But if you actually want to die from alcohol poisoning, yeah, every time I say ball, take a shot and you will be dead. Anyway, but I will stop talking about that because I really do want to talk a lot about this Asari Valkyrie. Yeah, like I said, godly. Definitely godly. Probably gonna be my new favorite Sentinel. I know I say that on almost every class, and I still really like the Paladin. But, you know, you gotta realize, the way I play this game is I always switch up. I can never play 2 games as the same character unless, like, I'm playing something like a Gap Infiltrator with a Hurricane. Because I play that when I just want to not really use any equipment that I'm low on. Because with that setup, I can use warp rounds, which I have a lot of. I can use SMG amps, which I have a ton of SMG amps, and I can use a lot of other stuff as well, like just a whole, you know, I don't know, just adrenaline or something to run faster. I can use that, and that's like the only character in the game that honestly I can use consistently, and I don't really care. Or maybe a sniper rifle Solarian. I'll do that from time to time. Just because I have so many sniper amps and so, you know, I have a lot of drill and I have a lot of that kind of stuff, and I'll just use that. But I always tend to switch it up, and because of that, I mean, right now this, you know, she just came out. I've only played 1 game, but she's definitely already gonna be my new favorite Sentinel. Like, it's just how I operate. So I know it makes no sense that I always say that, but in my opinion, she's probably gonna be one of the best Sentinels in the game, if not the best. Who knows? You know, it's hard to beat the Paladin, but the Paladin is a little old now. She's gonna be fresh. She's gonna be new. She's gonna be the one I'm gonna want to play. So that's my reasoning for doing that. Always saying that. Obviously, like, if my opinion changes more than, I don't know, you might change your underwear, it kind of does. Like, that's just me. I don't know. I don't ever keep the same opinion on stuff very long, unless it's something that, you know, morally, like, that's maybe the only thing I'll keep my opinion on. I don't know. But in general, like, when it comes down to video games, I always switch it up, because that's the way I like to play games like that. All games. It doesn't matter if it's Mass Effect or even if it's an RPG. I like to switch it up and then, you know, play something different, and then figure out the way to play it. And when I figure it out, then I tend to maybe overreact to the fact that it's really good. Like, maybe if I played the warrior class in another RPG, I'm like, man, the warrior is so amazing, it's so crazy good. And I try the rogue class, I'll be like, dude, the rogue is so amazing. And then I try the mage, and I'm like, the mage is the best. I always do that in every game, so I do apologize for doing that for you guys, to you guys. But yeah, this is the way I operate. And what's even worse is weapons and stuff. I mean, like, if it's another RPG, it'd be like, dude, man, this sword is crazy good. Then it's like, no, it's all about the bow. You know, I don't know. I don't know why I'm trying to make myself sound like a stoner, but whatever. Alright, but back onto it. Yeah, she's really good. Obviously, it's so simple. I don't have to tell you how to play with her. Well, you turn your tech armor on, you turn your Annihilation Field on, you run up close and you warp them and you blow them up. It's that simple. It's very easy play style. Definitely use something close range. That's very apparent. That's why, I mean, you could use the, I will give you some tips though. If you're playing against something like Cerberus, the Alkalite pistol is definitely really good. The only downside to the Alkalite is that if you're going to use that, well, you know, you could maybe strap on a shotgun and the Alkalite, but when you do that, you know what your issue is going to be? Power recharge, and that's a big issue for her. It really is. So the Alkalite pistol, though, is definitely pretty good. I would recommend that on her. You could try it for factions like the Geth. And I know they have also nerfed the Geth, guys, if you don't know. I won't talk about that much. Maybe in another commentary I will. But they have nerfed them a little bit. They made them a little bit easier because everybody on the forums were bitching. They're, you know, just bitching. Oh, the Geth is so hard. Oh, the Dragoons are really hard. They do that all the time. And I'm a big opponent of the forums just in general because I just don't like them. If you love the forums, go for it. But I personally don't like them because I think that the strategies and the tactics and everything like that, like everything on the forums tends to make people play a certain way, and that way is what I don't support. Like Firebase White, Geth Gold was definitely talked about quite a bit on the forums, and a lot of people kind of got that idea from the forums. You know, it's just something I don't support. But anyway, like I said, it's cool, and then on top of that, the forums also is a big place where things get nerfed. I'm sure no one's going to complain too much about an enemy faction being nerfed since they nerfed the guns for us so much. But yeah, they did do that. So keep that in mind. You can go on the forums if you want and look up and see what they did. And maybe in my next video I'll talk about it. But I really need to focus on like telling you about the Valkyrie and on top of that about this map because I love the map. Alright, so this is Wave 9. And like I said, Valkyrie is definitely really good. That's my message in this video. I definitely recommend it. And I will go as far to say she's going to be one of the best Sentinels in the game. Warp is by far a great... You know, like I said early on, when I first I seen her a long time ago. If you remember from my pack opening, I was one of the unlucky people that actually I used up all my money early on when it first came out. And see, the problem is that if you were like me, you were definitely at a big disadvantage. The reason why was because what was happening was like the store system was not like, it was kind of glitched. You could get the Turian Ghost a billion times because that's what happened to me. And I don't think the weapon mods were out yet. That's the big thing that I was so angry about. Just the fact that the weapon mods were not out yet. So I still don't have them to 5, most of them, because I just don't play the game that often anymore. And at the time I had the money to definitely get them all to 5, but instead I got like 12 Turian Ghosts. So that was definitely an issue for me. But when I was looking, but the other thing that happened around that time was you could actually look and see all of the new characters coming out and their powers. That's how I knew about, like, that's how I know about, like, the Drell Infiltrator, the fact he gets the Recon Mine, and I knew about her as well. And I can tell you about the Asari Valkyrie Infiltrator. I mean, look how fast we killed. That's what I'm talking about. That's crazy. Like, we were able to kill them so fast because of the debuffs and the fact that, you know, it's a constant setup. It's a Annihilation setup, it's a Warp setup, it's whatever. It's a constant setup with her when you have teammates, you know, doing this with you. So that's the thing. It's really crazy. If you throw in maybe a Volus with that debuff with her, whoo! That would be pretty crazy, honestly. Like, that would be a massive debuff. That's actually something I might try, too. And if you guys want to try that, if you have, like, a friend, one of you try playing as this Valkyrie Sentinel, and then the other one can maybe try to play as the Volus with the Expose effect. And you just sit there and, you know, you have your Volus friend help you detonate your Annihilation Field, and if you have it warped, then, yeah, you're talking about, like, some serious debuff right there. And it's definitely worth trying out. Anyway, right here, I'm gonna get fucking grabbed. Oh, I was so angry. Like, what the fuck? Like, for real, like, it grabbed me so quick. That's like, literally, the second or third time I've ever, in 700 hours, guys, been grabbed by a brute. That's how crazy. I think the other time I ever was grabbed by a brute was when I was like a Vanguard and I charged into it. But yeah, it's whatever. It wasn't a big deal. Alright, but like I said, overall, she is definitely really good, definitely worth trying out. The Infiltrator, I didn't finish that thought, but I will real quick. The Infiltrator is going to get Dark Channel, Annihilation Field, and it's, of course, Tactical Cloak, because it's an Infiltrator, so that will be also very interesting when that finally comes out. But I just wish, now, like, I don't know, I just wish that maybe on the Infiltrator they gave her Shockwave. Imagine that, guys. I mean, Annihilation Field and Shockwave on an Infiltrator, what the fuck? That would be crazy, but instead they gave her Dark Channel. But anyway, like I was saying, definitely try her out. It's very easy to play with her. All it takes is simply just the ability to use, just run up close and warp them. And there you go. And of course you could detonate your Annihilation Field and your Tech Armor. That is actually another thing you can do. I didn't talk about that yet, but you can do that. I was fighting like a Phantom, and I was like, oh shit, Phantom, and I actually I detonated my Annihilation Field, and then I detonated my my Tech Armor and just pooped on her face. So that is something you can definitely do against Phantoms, and anything that you want to do that against. Mainly Phantoms is the best way to go about doing that. Right here, we're kind of like getting butt plugged, so we need to go ahead and make our way out. Well, at least myself, I'm making my way out of this room because, I mean, it's just ridiculous. My Annihilation Field wore off. I mean, I've talked about that in the Fury gameplays. You gotta be careful about that. You gotta be able to put that back on. So I'm gonna make, you know, boom. And of course, around the end, I mean, come on. That's ridiculous. Around the end of the extraction wave, the ball of death goes into literally the extraction. That's crazy. Are you serious? Tro-lo-lo-lo-lo-lo-lo-lo. Like, for real? Alright, it's gonna be really close. Oh, yes! But, I mean, look at it. Alright, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Please like this video. Subscribe for any other future DLC. And, as you know, like always, have a nice day.